Hello everybody, Dr. Cameron Kavari and Dr. Robert Hadeen here with Trimodus, and today we're going to talk low back, but specifically we're going to talk posture of the low back, especially when we're looking at squat function and a lot of these lifts that are going on. And so Robert, if you demonstrate a few squat postures that commonly occur in the gym that we see. So what ends up happening is when somebody were to descend down into a squat, we see a couple presentations. So everybody's trying to avoid this obviously awful presentation of flexing forward because we know how harmful it is for the low back. So what ends up happening is this is then promoted. So a lot of times we see a lot of coaches are coaching to hyperextend, look up, heel load, and that is actually equally as harmful to the low back. And so this actually compresses the low back, compresses the spine, and I think Dr. Hadeen is going to explain why that is so detrimental for the low back.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here is kind of this idea of a extension compression stabilizing strategy, where basically you're taking the posterior, the back side of your body, and you're compressing all the muscular tissue to stabilize in order to make this balancing act happen as you descend to the floor. Okay? Unfortunately, this puts a lot of tension and puts you into this kind of open scissors position where your pelvis is here, your rib cage is here, and you kind of are not creating a good canister, and it's not allowing you to be as efficient as you possibly could. And so we want to do as much as we can to avoid extension, avoid flexion, but to keep that balancing act and maintain a good descent without compromising either one of these positions.
So the big thing we're looking for is to make sure that spine stays neutral. So Doc, can you go into that squat one more time? I'm gonna grab that pole from you actually. And I think the big key is go into like a half, do the best squat you can. So we just wanna keep neutral. So instead of hyperextending and flexing, we just want a nice straight line so that you can load your joints efficiently, avoid injury, and this actually is great rehab for people that even have low back pain because it's not crunching everything down and it's actually driving a solution. Okay, so if you notice that you are actually hyperextended, if you have a little bit more pop to your back, we call that a little bit of a J-Lo, where you're kind of popping that booty a little bit, I really want you to focus on a couple exercises to solve that problem. So Doc, do you want to go ahead and get into that squat hold? So one of the best ways to retrain the angle of the spine is this really easy front squat. You put a kettle in the front of your hand, front of your body, and you just descend into that squat. So come on down, and what you want to do is really feel like you're getting nice and flat through here. You're not hyperextended, you're loading your full foot, and you're just training this 10, 15, 20 times before your lift so you can feel that good pressure through your belly. You want to expand your abdomen out and really get good movement through your hips and just be cognizant here. Don't overdo the weight because you have to retrain a little bit. Your second exercise, we're going to end up getting on the ground. So Dr. Hadeen's going to demonstrate. So what you want to do is get onto all fours, and you're just gonna come up and make sure you lift your knees up off of the floor. Once you get that hover and you feel like you could literally put a martini glass right here and it wouldn't fall off, that's when you start rocking back and forth. That is gonna end up retraining the spine on getting really nice and aligned, and you're also going to retrain how well you do in the squat, because now you're moving your hips. And if you looked at it, if I turned him upside right, he's going to be squatting. So those are your take homes, and you just work 20 of each of those before you start your lifts so you can actually retrain the brain on how that works. So if you have any questions about fixing your low back on your squat, if you have any issues with some of these moves, reach out, trimodus.com. You can give us an email, admin@trimodus.com, if you're having any trouble and if you feel like you've got a J-Lo booty when you're squatting. Take care.